Hello guys, and welcome to my new video, and today we'll be talking about multiple things happening with patch 8.3. I know the hype has been all about the new expansion, Shadowlands, and 8.3 news have kind of, been pushed back. But today we have few big announcements to do with Mythic Plus, with corrupted gear, with Mythic Plus rewards. And first of all, patch 8.3, the release date has been announced and it's going to happen early next year. So a lot of people have thought that patch 8.3 might be released mid-December, the new raid is going to be released mid-January, but Blizzard has kind of made a statement about, they don't want to push new content during holidays. It might be harder for them to have staff available during holiday season, so they're pushing everything back to early next year, so January, February. So my assumptions are going to be that patch 8.3 is going to be released mid-January, a lot of free time, a lot of downtime. From patch 8.25 to patch 8.3, it's time to level your alts, time to grind your essences. There is a whole lot of downtime, and again, it's not a surprising news. This might put the next expansion, Shadowlands, in terms of the release date, maybe late August, maybe September or something along those lines. But overall, not a big surprise. In terms of Mythic Plus, there's been a lot of information happening, or there's been a lot of information revealed in terms of Mythic Plus rewards. For the first time, we're getting something more than just an achievement for completing plus 10s or plus 15s. Blizzard has announced that in patch 8.3, you're going to get a cool, first of all, if you complete all of the dungeons in plus 10, you'll get a cool title, the Awakened, which is okay. You get a title, finally, we're getting something new. But if you complete all of the dungeons plus 15s all in time, you're gonna get Awakened Mindborer. This mount looks sick, disgusting, and I love it. It legit looks like an insanely cool mount that I know a lot of people are going to want it. A lot of people are gonna start looking into Mythic Plus because goddamn, this mount is awesome, and we've been asking this for a really long time. We wanted some meaningful rewards for pushing Mythic Plus, for doing Mythic Plus keys outside of that rated.io score. So finally we got it. And I feel that a lot of people will start pushing Mythic Plus. But there is another discussion, and a big discussion about corrupted gear in terms of Mythic Plus pushers and Mythic raiders. So first of all, before I'm going to start the big discussion, I want to take you through to what corrupted gear really is. Because I'm sure a lot of people have heard about corrupted gear, but they might not be fully aware of what it does. First of all, titanforging, warforging is completely gone. All of a sudden, the item level, and in this example, I'm going to refer to the old item level system. So 430 item levels for Mythic Plus, 445 for Mythic raiding, and 440 for your weekly chest. So not to confuse people. The item levels are going up in the next expansion or the next raid, but I want to refer to the old system for simplicity's sake. So first of all, if you are a Mythic Plus pusher, if you only do Mythic Plus, you will not go above 430 item level. You cannot titanforge, you cannot warforge. Similar extent, if you are a Mythic Raider, you will go up to 445, which is technically the highest item level in the game. So straight away, there's been a huge discussion between, Mythic Plus pushers who actually enjoyed titanforging system because it let them catch up to the Mythic Raiders. So first of all, the corrupted system, there is a chance with every item that you get for it to be corrupted. Corrupted will add an equip effect like additional secondary stats or additional leech, for example. And with that equip effect, you'll also get a static amount of corruption added to an item. This has been changed. It used to be a random amount, but now it's static, less RNG. So it's not as oranges as it used to be before. So for example, there is going to be 3 tiers to the equip effect. Let's assume you get the leech effect. Additional leech. You might be getting 2% leech. You might be getting 4% leech, or you might actually get 6%. The higher the additional equip effect you get, the more corruption you're going to get. So an example that I'm going to use is my wrist that I got in the PTR testing. I had a wrist that gives me 6% leech. That gives me 22 corruption. I also had the same wrist drop with 4% leech, and that gave me 17 corruption. So you can see how the system works. The higher the equip, the more corruption. Now, there is RNG aspect to it that some of the equip effects are just really situational. For example, reduces the amount of damage taken from periodic effects. Very situational, and you might not want to equip this at all. You have a chance of removing corruption completely. Now, what happens if you add corruption to your gear or you equip those corrupted items? First of all, the first time you're going to equip any item, you're going to get this effect that's going to slow you if you get hit. There's a chance of that happening. It is relatively, you can't really notice it that much, especially considering the fact that it is a magic dispel. So if you're a healer, you can actually dispel this effect. So it's not that bad of a deal. Now, if you're going to go above 20 corruption, 20 or more, you're going to get a corrupted zone, which has a random chance of leaving it on the ground. The more corruption you have, the bigger the zone, the more damage it deals. Again, this is, in Mythic Plus environment, I don't see this being as a big deal. In raiding, 20 people proccing this at the same time, it might be a bit hard to see what's going on. But overall, if you go above 40, you're gonna get, in my opinion, the hardest corruption, or the most annoying one, which is Grand Delusion. There's going to be an ad spawning that's going to spawn away from you, and it's going to chase you, and if it gets to you, it does like half of your HP. And from the testing on the PTR, you can get these random chains of negative procs. For example, you get the slow effect. The slow effect is going to be increased because you have more corruption. Then the ad might spawn, it'll get to you, and you might get one shot because of other effects happening in Mythic Plus or Raid environment. So I feel that the sweet spot at this given time is 39 corruption, because with 39 corruption, you only get two negative effects, the corrupted zone and you get the slow effect. Now, keep in mind, in raiding environments, people have been using 19 corruption because they don't want to get the corrupted zone, but there is new information happening with PTR because there's a new Azeroth trait in the raid, and what it reads is your secondary stats are all increased by a certain amount while the corruption level is 25 or higher. So all of a sudden, maybe this Azeroth trait is going to become one of the best Azeroth traits for a lot of players, and you might need to go above 25 corruption, and I feel the sweet spot is going to be 39 because you're only getting two negative effects on top of that. So what does this mean in terms of Mythic Plus pushing and raiding? And I made a straw poll if you're watching this video about, do you feel that Mythic raiding should give you the highest gear possible in the game? Because that's what Blizzard is basically implying with these changes. Because all of a sudden, if you're pushing Mythic Plus, you're getting 430 item level gear, you might have a chance of an item getting corrupted. It's still gonna stay 430. Technically, if you're only doing Mythic Plus, you'll never go above what a Mythic Raider has in terms of item levels. And if you're a Mythic Raider, you do a boss, you get a 445 item level with corrupted effect on it. That item, depending on which secondary stats you get, depending on which equip effect you get, will become the best item in the game at that given point. So there is a big disparity between Mythic Plus players and raiding players, and there's been a lot of discussion about this in terms of players who are doing just Mythic Plus. It's funny to see how a lot of people really didn't like titanforging, but titanforging for a lot of Mythic Plus pushers was the main source of keeping up with Mythic Raiders. And there's been a lot of discussion about, I'm only pushing Mythic Plus, I'm gonna quit this game if I can't get, equivalent item levels to Mythic Raiders because I don't have time to raid and things like that. And again, this is my take on this. I do feel that Mythic Plus and raids, there's a lot of difference here. Mythic Plus is repeatable, it requires 5 people. Mythic raiding, you cannot do it more than once a week. You require 20 people, there's more coordination required. Some of these bosses, some of the Mythic bosses take like months and months to do. For example, Mythic Ashara-Zakul, a lot of guilds spend weeks and weeks trying to do these bosses with a loot that was largely irrelevant because they outgeared this already because they were farming Mythic Plus. So, what should be done about this? And I really want to know your opinions about this. A lot of people have suggested that maybe if you're pushing really high Mythic, like let's say 20s or something along those lines, you should have a chance of getting Mythic raid equivalent gear maybe once a month or something. A lot of people have suggested that because you can argue the fact that plus 20 King's Rest is a lot harder than Mythic Behemoth or something along those lines. And I agree with that. But at the same time, Mythic Plus is repeatable and it only requires 5 players. If Mythic Plus would drop the same item level gear as Mythic raiding, then no one would raid. There would be no point in raiding at all. So my point is split on this completely. I still feel Mythic raiding should drop the highest item level, but I also feel Mythic Plus pushers should be able to keep up without having to do raids. So it's kind of a hard decision here. I really want to know your opinion about this. Check out the link. I want to know if you feel that mythic rating should drop the highest item level. In my opinion, it should, but again, like I mentioned, people who do 20 keys and stuff like that, they should still be able to keep up. And I didn't mention the fact that over time, you will be able to add more corrupted items to your gear. So all of a sudden with Legendary Cloak, that's gonna add or reduce the amount of corruption. You also have essences that reduce the amount of corruption. So later down the patch, there's likely scenario that most of your gear might be corrupted and you have these awesome secondary effects. The best gear at this given point, from the way that I read the patch notes, is going to be from mythic raids, without a doubt. The 445 corrupted gear, if you get the right stats, you are using the best item in the game right now. So there is going to be disparity between alts and mains. Like for example, right now I have like 5 classes that are above 440 item level. And a lot of those classes I've never raided at all. I've just basically did mythic 10s and I got some lucky titanforges. And you can see that over time, gearing alts or alt item level is going to be significantly diminished with the new patch. And I don't think that's the most terrible idea. I still feel that your main character that does mythic raiding and mythic plus should possibly be rewarded with the highest possible gear. Honestly, big discussion. Let me know how you feel about this. Let me know how you feel about the corrupted gear. Let me know if this corrupted system should be implemented in the next expansion, because Blizzard is thinking about this. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I'll see you in my next guide.